You got to recruit Kendall Sheffield twice.
Yes.
What was it like the second time going through it? He's obviously a big part of your guys' rotation and all that stuff. And you wanted him a lot the first time. Can you just take me into the idea of like what it was like doing it again?
Yeah, I felt like we were really close to getting him the first time. I was very disappointed that we didn't. Worked really hard on it. Really liked him. Really liked his family. He'd been here for a visit. All the things that normally lead us to getting a kid. And when he decided to go somewhere else, it was hard for me. As soon as I found out that he was becoming available again, and I can't remember exactly how, if it was internet or whatever, I reached out immediately because that was somebody that I knew had the right skill set for what we do here, and began the process of recruiting him at Blinn right away. Recruited him really hard, and thankfully he decided to be a Buckeye.
So you were A, excited to do it again, and B, did you guys just pick up where you left off, or do you have to start over again, or like how does that work?
I think actually it was an advantage to us the second time around, because I think the things that he and I had talked about the first time had come to fruition, and I think that that's powerful recruiting. When you tell somebody something's going to happen and it does, and I'm not talking about with him, I'm talking about with us.
Okay.
It was accurate. It's an accurate portrayal of what happens in the corner room, and I think he was excited to have the opportunity to revisit it.
What's the adjustment been like for him, because he's an older guy?
I think there's a lot of adjustments, but I think the biggest one, he just got here in March,
right,
and he had to front load all those classes, and he had to do, he also, I don't think everybody understands, he took 24 credit hours in a semester at Blinn Junior College to be able to be here and to be able to compete in March and be here for spring ball. So his work ethic is outstanding. The thing that they said at Blinn, which I found to be exactly true, is he's the first guy out there. He's going to work. He's stretching. He's preparing like a professional, and that's what I see. And I'm really excited to have him in the room, and really excited to have him as a part of our program.
Kerry, you have a returning starter in Denzel.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate
my
that.
Pleasure. The other two spots that are open, how do you see that playing out after spring practice now? Do you have a pecking order for that rotation?
We have the most depth that we have had at the position since I've been here. I'm extremely excited about the totality of the room. We have to get better in order to be able to match the standard that we have here. That was obvious on Saturday in the spring game. It's a great experience for those young players to have that happen to them and not have it count. But we have more depth than we've had. I wouldn't pretend to tell you what the depth chart looks like, other than to say that Arnett had a fantastic spring. He is going to be in the mix. Sheffield had a fantastic spring. He is going to be in the mix. And then Wade, Williamson, Okuda, and Burns are all going to compete along with Amir Reap for playing time. They're going to play.
When you talk about what happened on Saturday, how much stock do you put into it? How much do you?
A lot of stock into it. There's 80,000 people. The ball is being thrown deep, and your guy can't catch it. And if he does, that's a problem. What I shared with the players after the game is this: that is one of the most valuable experiences that they can have, to understand how awful it feels to give up a touchdown in Ohio Stadium. It's the worst feeling, and it should be. If it doesn't make you sick to your stomach, you're not going to be able to play here. So the fact that they were able to experience that without it having counting in a real game, it doesn't count, doesn't hurt the Buckeyes, was phenomenal. What our offense did in the course of 15 days, the pressure they put on those kids with deep ball throws, is experience that they can't ever get back again. We won't be able to replicate that all fall. And so this for those young players was just a fantastic spring camp.
Well, that said, to see Wade knock away that possible touchdown pass near the end, it's a spring game. It could have mattered big time. What does that tell you about him?
It did matter big time. I don't say it could have. It did. It was the difference between me having to shovel mulch for 4 hours and not. So it was really, really big. I get to ride the bus home. So it was really big. What it said about him is that he's a fierce competitor. He was tired. He was exhausted. They played more plays in longer stretches than they had all year. They had been picked on. There was every reason in the world to put their head down and kick the dirt and say, "Oh man, this is really hard. This is terrible." Blah blah blah. And instead, both he and Okuda fought like crazy at the end of the game. They both had PBUs in the red zone, which caused the team that they were on to have victory. Those were huge positives coming out of there on Saturday.
Kerry, it seemed that in the game.
That's your second question. You're jumping in there.
You're my favorite person.
You having gone against the offense all spring, what have you seen that Kevin Wilson has brought to the offense that's going to be a challenge for any defense?
Well, first of all, the tempo is different. The tempo is faster. Kevin has a really good feel and a really good sense of what he wants to try to do to the defense and how he wants to try to manipulate the defense through tempo and formation, and that's obvious. He's going to take advantage of the things that you give him. He's not going to try to beat his head against a brick wall. I would also tell you that Ryan Day is a tremendous addition. The accuracy of the quarterbacks, where they're throwing, the timing with which they're throwing the ball makes our offense incredibly difficult to defend. And I think one of the things that's different is they throw them. You know, a guy might be covered, and they're throwing it anyway, and they're giving those talented receivers a 50-50 chance of going up and getting the ball. And because you do that over and over again, the receivers learn to catch them. And so that part of spring has been just extraordinary.